Are you a busy mom in business who's working mostly from home? Tired of seeing lots of other mamas online crushing it and wondering how they juggle kids, school, camps, lunches, dinner, potty training, laundry, cleaning, homework, soccer practice, ballet, doctor visits, toddler tantrums, teen tantrums, neglected husbands, dog walking, volunteer school duty, and all of that other stuff? Are you scratching your head trying to figure out how they manage to get all of it done so they can be successful in their businesses? Well, then you're in the right place. Welcome to the Audacious Mamas Show. You're about to hear behind-the-scenes insights from some of the most successful moms on and offline, as well as professionals who can help all of us make our business and home lives more streamlined and prosperous. You'll get tips, insights, and lots of validation. Yes, ladies, the struggle is real, even for the most successful mamas. Here's your host, and one of the most audacious mamas around, Steph Roberts.
Hey guys, Steph Roberts here. Welcome to the Audacious Mama Show, and I just have something cool to share with you guys today. This is a neat strategy for anyone who doesn't have a lot of time. Maybe you've been trying to build your email list, you're trying to get more leads, you're trying to increase your social reach. You don't have a lot of time to devote to that, so this is the episode for you. So today we're going to be talking about quizzes, and I have seen them everywhere. And I'm pretty good at deflecting things that seem to be on trend online. You know, I observe it, but I don't always feel like I have to jump in on it. And with quizzes, I found myself definitely participating, sharing, and thinking about doing them myself. And today, I would say this kind of sealed the deal. So I'm excited to have my guest today, his name is Josh Hainum, and his company has an online subscription. So it can make this whole quiz thing so much easier. And the conversion rates, you guys, on these emails are just off the charts. So people share them because they're fun and they make you feel good. And the conversions are about 50% for opting in, which is pretty amazing. And again, so if you're trying to build your list, try and increase your reach, this is like an amazing way to do it. And it's not super expensive. So instead of paying somebody to put one of these together for you or spending weeks and weeks and weeks trying to get it done, you could easily just join this service, even short term, even if you don't want to do it for the whole year, and just jump in and create a survey and give it a shot. It's all about experimentation. So with that in mind, I also just wanted to say that I'm running into a lot of moms, a lot of business women who are having trouble with their content calendars, scheduling their social media. So they're just doing a little bit here, a little bit there. They know they should be more consistent to be more visible. And this is something we all run into. And I am putting together a product, a service where I already have something where I help women with their strategy for their business and create a roadmap. And that is awesome. But sometimes people just want to know, okay, what do I have to do on which day? And so I am here to help you create your roadmap and map it to an actual calendar. So you know that on Tuesdays, you do your go live at 11 in the morning or 1 in the afternoon, whatever works for you. Now you're on your summer schedule. You can change it in the fall. You can come back and we can tweak it. But that's the thing. Like, people waste a lot of time making decisions. It's like, oh, I have an open block of 15, 20, 30 minutes, which gets more tricky in the summertime. What should I do? Well, if you have it mapped out for you by day, some of it auto-scheduled in social tools that can help kind of fill in the gaps where you cannot be available, and you can supplement that with your actual real live interaction. We can piece it together for you, and I can help you strategize, leverage your social media in a way that makes you more visible, more consistent, more credible, and just get you more impact for what you're doing. So if that's of interest to you, go ahead, set up a 20-minute chat with me. It's bit.ly/strategychat, bit.ly/strategychat, and I'll be happy to chat with you for 20 minutes or so, and let's just see if it makes sense to work together. I'd love to talk to you. All right, without further ado, here is my guest, quiz maven extraordinaire. His name is Josh Hainum, and this is an awesome episode. I'm excited to share it with you, so enjoy. So, welcome to the Audacious Mama Show. I'm your host, Steph Roberts, and I have a really fun guest today. I've been thinking myself about doing these quizzes because I'm seeing them everywhere, and not just recently, but I think more so in the last couple of months. And I think they're a fun way to do a bunch of different things with your business and get kind of targeted responses. So I'm excited to introduce my guest, who is the CEO of his company, and he is basically focusing on quiz creation, surveys, and some other things. And we'll get into that in a minute. But welcome, Josh Hainum. Is it Hainum?
Hey. That's right. You got it right. I appreciate that.
I usually ask before
Most people mess it up.
Okay, good. Josh Hainum.
No, that was perfect on the first try.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for being here, Josh. This is great.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I really do appreciate it.
I'm really psyched to have you here. So tell me about your business and just quizzes in general, because it seems like they're popping up left and right, and it could just be recently, but I think you reached out to me, and I think I finished up a quiz or two quizzes the day before. So your timing was perfect. You're psychic.
Love it. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm hearing that from like everybody that I'm connecting with right now. They're like, oh, I was just taking a quiz. Like, did you know? And I'm like, no, but it just seems to be going around right now. And they really have grown in popularity in terms of using them for marketing. As a medium, as a piece of content online, they've been around since, the internet started. And then before that, quizzes were in magazines, printed out. Pub quizzes is where the whole thing kind of originated. That was in like the 1700s in like England. So quizzes have been around for a long time. We've always loved this aspect of being able to answer questions and either find out our personality or figure out how much we know about a particular subject. And the reason that that's so enticing to us is because we just love to answer questions about ourselves, which quizzes prompt you with questions that are very personal, and you get to answer them in the way that you choose. And then we also love learning about ourselves. So at the end of the quiz, you're either learning your personality, or you're learning how well you know a particular subject, or you're learning what type of cat you are. That one came out. That one came out yesterday from Best Friends Animal Society, and it like blew up.
Wow,
it was awesome. But yeah, I mean, that's really the concept, is taking those quizzes that are so popular in general and using them for marketing. And you can create a quiz that relates to your brand. If you're Best Friends Animal Society, it's obviously easy because you can do what kind of cat are you.
Right.
But if you're like a marketing consultant, you can do what type of marketer are you, or what's your brand style, things like that. And it kind of captures that appeal of those quizzes, and then you can use them to market your business. And the quizzes that we are able to build through our platform, or that people are able to come on and build, are able to also build up your email list. You can use them to capture emails. You can use them to recommend products based on what personality type somebody gets, which we've found converts really well. Mm-hmm. And then you can obviously also increase your reach through Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest by having people share their particular quiz results, and then other people see those and come in and they find your brand that way. So they really work well to grow your company, just capitalizing on what already is so interesting to people, which is just these quizzes in general. So that's what we do. We've been around for 3.5 years. So really, we started before this was a trend in terms of marketing, and we were just kind of doing them one at a time for people. But over the last few years, we've been able to build up a really robust platform to where we now have 35,000 companies using us to create quizzes, and now polls and giveaways as well. And share those out and grow their own companies that way. So that's kind of the long and short of what we're doing.
Yeah, and name some of your clients, because I was so impressed. Like, so
yeah. I mean, we've been lucky. Just on Monday, I had sent our customer success gal a note on Slack, and I was just like, "Did you see the last 2 signups?" It was like, who was it? It was GE and Stitch Fix.
Wow.
Just like, and they're just back to back, and it's just like,
That's
oh my
so
gosh,
cool.
like, what is life? And then she, emailed back, and she was like, oh yeah, and last week we got Bacardi, and it's like, this is just nuts. So it's pretty crazy. I mean, that's in the last 4 days, but before that, we work with the American Red Cross a lot. They use us all across the country at different branches, the United Nations as well, Greenpeace, Oxfam, all the Amnesty International. That's kind of our nonprofit sector.
Wow.
We work a lot in like the content, the online courses space. So we have Lewis Howes, we have Eben Pagan, we have Tony Robbins, Rachel Ray. So all of those guys in that space. We work in retail a lot. We have Home Depot, we have Volcom, we have Lush Cosmetics. So those are all big ones in that area. And then we also work with a lot of kind of software companies as well. So we have like EMC. We work with Salesforce in the past. A lot of those bigger companies as well. Eventbrite is on the list for sure. So we've kind of been lucky in that we started so early that we established ourselves as kind of the go-to. So when the Red Cross is looking for a solution like this and their social media team is searching around, they end up with us, and that's just been kind of the story, and we've been able to stay on top of that wave as it's grown and maintain our position as the go-to when a brand is really looking to invest in quiz marketing, and now with polls and giveaways as well. We've just been able to be there and be just kind of a solid rock of a product that is just super robust and has all the features and everything that these brands would want.
Right.
And so we've just been lucky to be able to get all those big names on board.
Yeah, that's awesome. So just to describe your platform, I've looked at it a little bit. So your website is Try Interact.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep. So
and
Try Interact.
So you have like templates, different types of quizzes that people can modify and kind of create their own branding around it and use their own photos, that kind of thing. But the themes are similar, or how does that work?
Yeah, so that's we always try to stay in touch with our customers as much as possible. I'd say between our whole team, we have 50 to 75 calls a week with clients, and those sometimes go on for hours. We're just talking and discussing, because what we're trying to do is build a product for people, and how are you supposed to know what to do if you're not having active conversations? So we do that all the time. And for a long time, one of the things that we would always hear was, we love the idea, we love the concept of using a quiz, but it took us 2 weeks to come up with an idea and actually build it out. And these are not, random companies that we're talking to all the time. Like, these are some of the literally some of the most well-known social media marketers in the world. Like, people off the Forbes list of top social media marketers. I'm on the phone with them. Wow. They say it takes 3 weeks to come up with a quiz. And we were like, that is absolutely a problem. So what we did is we created templates. So these are quizzes that we've already seen to work in every industry possible. So we've got a list of industries. We've got art, we've got automotive, blogging, business, career, children, coaching, college, and the list goes on and on. I think we've got about 60 categories in there. And for each category, you can select the category. So if I want to look at business quizzes, and then I can actually sort those by conversion rate. So I can take a template that is the top converting business quiz, and it just happens to be what kind of blogger are you? And then the second most one is what is your brand voice style? I can grab either of those. I can load in that pre-made template, and then I can modify everything that I want. So I can change all the questions. I can change the style to match my website. I can connect it up to my list. I can add links to my products at the end, all that kind of stuff. But you don't have to worry about what kind of quiz am I going to make, or how do I set up the questions in the first place? That's all done up front, and then you can change it, because obviously it's so much easier to modify something than to think of it in the first place. So it allows you to make things just so much easier, and so much quicker, right? Like you can get up and running. I consistently see people now sign up in the morning, launch in the afternoon. Wow, everything's good to go. It blows up and it just goes well. So that really, really, really takes the difficulty out of it.
Hey guys, I just wanted to interrupt for a sec and say, I know I've been talking about video for a while, but I'm super excited because we had Instagram stories, which was really fun. We could tell these short, little, quick 15-second clips that connect us with our audience, our potential clients, other people, and it's a great way to kind of go behind the scenes. And now there's Facebook Messenger Day, which allows you to connect again with people who you're connected to through Messenger, but in a more direct way with people who might be your ideal clients or customers, as long as they're connected to you on Facebook. It's pretty cool, and I'm not recommending that you spam anyone, but what I've noticed is that the people who are doing Facebook Messenger Day videos, well, there's just not a lot of them out there. So you're really ahead of it if you are interested in this at all. I just put together a package of 5 videos. They're custom made for you with a special price for my listeners. And I'm excited to start delivering these packages. So they're just 15 seconds each, which is what Messenger Day will allow, and also Instagram. You can kind of use them anywhere because it's so tiny. You could also use them for Facebook ads if you wanted. And so it's animation, music, some text, images, graphics, as well as very, very short video if you have something under 15 seconds that could be pulled in. So I'm excited about these. If you're at all interested, all you need to do is send a text to 44222, 44222, and write the word VITAL video. That's VITAL video, VITAL video, all one word. And you will get my 6-step formula for successful promo videos, which will give you a leg up and give you some ideas on how to get started on this. It'll also let me know that you're interested. You'll get a little bit more information from me on how to connect with me more directly, and hopefully we can connect after that. And I would love to give you the special price for my listeners and start working with you and just get these out there. So I just launched one of my longer video clients, and she is doing really well with her new video, and I just am so excited to see the responses in her Facebook group. So this stuff works. It's really exciting. It does great things for you, your image, keeps you out there, and the more creative you can be, the better. And again, with this little package, you can do a rotation of 5 different videos, so you don't have to limit your focus to just one thing. And so I'm excited about that. Enjoy the rest of the show. Thanks. Yeah, and I can imagine, I mean, honestly, to me, it sounds like you're the lead pages of quizzes and surveys and polls. Just with the conversion rate and the templates and everything. I've just started picturing that, that business model and how that looks online and how simple it is. It's like, okay, I want to sort by conversion rate, kind of want it to be this type of page, this type of, quiz, whatever. And then you can, put your own layer on top of that and then tweak the text and make it the way you want it to be. So is the whole thing written out, though, the responses as well? That's the part I'm trying to kind of grasp. So let's say it's about, I don't know, fashion or something. So are all the questions and responses pre-made and then you can change them completely?
Yeah, that's how it works. So everything's in there. And obviously, all the questions are in there and the outcomes, all that stuff. So it's all in there, and it's obviously already optimized to be the most effective set of questions, the most effective set of outcomes, all that kind of stuff. But then you can change all of it. So you're not stuck to anything that you don't like, but it doesn't make you create it all from scratch, right? Which is the most difficult part. So it takes everything out and does it for you, but then you can obviously have complete control over what you want your end product to be.
And are most people, I would imagine, as this gets more and more popular and your platform becomes more popular, you probably have to expand your templates and quizzes and things like that. But so for now, are you seeing people kind of using them out of the box, just putting their face on it, their logo and brand, or are they actually going in and tweaking the text? Just curious.
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah, and we continue to add templates, and you can actually request a template on any of our categories, so then we can get something in there that fits your needs better. But for the most part, what usually happens is somebody will load in a template. They'll modify, I would say, 7 to 10 elements. And if you think about an element being like a question or an outcome or a link or adding your email list, anything like that, you'll typically do like 7 to 10 actions. So you'll change a question, you'll change an outcome, you'll change the list that it's connected to, you'll add a link here and there. So each of those elements takes anywhere from 30 seconds to a couple minutes. So on average, you're spending maybe half an hour modifying that quiz. And that way it looks a little bit closer to what you're doing. You change the questions. Maybe you don't like a particular question. You can change it or remove it. So I'd say there's 7 to 10 actions that happen on average before you're ready to go. And then you go ahead and publish that and put it on your site and all that kind of stuff. So on average, it's really just a little bit of changing, nothing too major, but it does allow that quiz to be just more in line, in sync with what you're looking to portray.
Cool. Yeah. And so how easy or difficult is the end part of it where you're actually finished what you've created and now you need to actually put it on your site? Are you linking to it? Is it somehow embedded in your site? How does that work?
Yeah, so it's embedded on your site through an iframe. So just like you'd put a YouTube video into a page, it's the same exact technology. So it's a very smooth process. We've got a WordPress plugin as well, and then we have instructions for all the different platforms. So like Squarespace and Wix and Weebly, you can just go through the guide. It's a couple of steps to get it added to a page and make sure that it looks nice and is portrayed the way that you want it to be.
Nice. That sounds easy. Okay.
Yeah.
So I was reading through your blog and just, things are kind of occurring to me as I was reading through, like, what is the reason why these work so well and why they're so popular? And you touched on it a little bit more, but maybe you can share why you think this kind of, I'm calling it a quiz craze. Why is that taken off? Like, what is it about this?
Yeah, and it's a really interesting question. And, I'm really big into psychology myself and have done a lot of just kind of research into this. And obviously we have a massive data set on our end. We've had, the main goal of a lot of these quizzes is collecting email subscribers. And we've had, our clients have collected 4.5 million email subscribers.
Wow.
So
oh my gosh,
we're able to tie that all back to like the content that's in these quizzes, obviously not like per person, but as an aggregate, we can look at these numbers. And really what I've come upon and realized, and I had kind of an aha moment about this, is that the reason these quizzes work so well is because they allow you to talk about yourself. And there's this study that Time magazine did, this was a few years back, about how you talk about yourself. And they found that 40% of the words, so 4 out of the 10 words you say in your life, are actually about yourself. And when we talk about ourselves, we actually release like pheromones in our brains that make us feel good. So we actually enjoy talking about ourselves, and it's a biological, psychological thing that we like this aspect of expressing ourselves, right? And if you think about marketing as an industry, what other kind of content lets you talk about yourself? There really is none. Like videos, landing pages, even webinars and podcasts. It's like you're part of a conversation, but you're not actively talking about yourself. True. And quizzes let you talk about yourself. They'll ask you questions that are often quite personal. Your preferences, your style, what you like, what you don't like, what you want to eat, what you want to drink, all that kind of stuff. And it lets you express yourself. And that, I think, is an enormously powerful thing that is going to continue growing because it taps into this in an entirely untouched part of marketing that is just been missed for so long, ever since the internet came around. Everything's broadcast, everything's, shout out a message and hope that somebody is interested, right?
Right.
And now you're able to say, no, I don't want to do that. I want to have a conversation. I want to ask people what they're interested in. And then based on what they're interested in, let me send them some emails that are follow-ups, because you can collect their emails. And then let me recommend some products that are, the right thing for this person. And that's just a game changer. That's so different. And it's so appealing because we just love to talk about ourselves. And then the other aspect that is really appealing to quizzes as well is that it tells you something about yourself. So, there's an entire industry, right, of self-help, which is really all about, finding yourself, finding what you like, finding what your own preferences are so that you can capitalize on that. And a quiz will help you do that. It'll show you your style, it'll show you your preferences, and you can use that to your advantage, right? Like if you know what your best communication style is, for example, then you can focus on that and you can learn more about that. You can learn the right things to say, the right places to go, the right types of people to meet, things like that, because you know your style. And so that, I think, is the second most important aspect of this. So it's really, talking about yourself, expressing yourself, and then learning about yourself. And those are two really powerful, just human things that, again, like we just haven't been able to tap into that until these quizzes have come around. So there's so much power there.
Yeah, definitely. And that just that whole asking piece reminds me of Ryan Levesque and his new book, and that whole asking movement. I can see how that would create just an affinity for your business, right? Like somebody's just kind of innocently going to a quiz that their friend shared. They don't know what's popping out at the end, what company is behind it necessarily, or who the person is. But I just think most of these quizzes, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't even know if there's ever a negative outcome. It's usually pretty positive, right? Like it's like, oh, you're this, and that's good because of this, and this. But maybe you need, this little thing or these three little things to make you even better.
That's actually, that's a funny point, because there's been studies done on social sharing, and the number one shared emotion is happiness. And so quizzes, you're right, there actually are no negative outcomes, because people know that, first of all, if you're telling somebody, something about themselves and they just shared all this personal information, the last thing you want to do is be like, oh yeah, and by the way, like you're not doing well. But you're also looking to get the most shares possible, and quizzes get shared a lot. On average, 10% of people that take quizzes will share them, which is a crazy viral coefficient. So, that's a huge thing in and of itself. But you'll get most shares, you'll get the most shares if you do, give somebody a positive outcome. So that's why that's kind of the way it usually works.
That makes sense. Totally. Yeah. No brainer there, I guess. So then there's something else I was going to ask you. So maybe you can go over this too. So you said you obviously work with these very large brands. I'm just wondering actually about like the Red Cross. What kind of things what are they quizzing people about? And what are they using that to create their mailing list? Or donors or?
Yeah, I mean, all the above. So, collecting new email subscribers and driving donations. They've done all sorts of stuff. They have, their most popular one is what kind of volunteer are you, is the quiz. And that's been working really well. That thing has tons of shares, tons of views, and it's just driving a lot of awareness for them, which is amazing. Cool. And then they've also done more practical stuff like, is your home ready for a fire? Are you prepared for a hurricane? Things like that. Or, how good of a swimmer are you is another one they did. And those quizzes go out through all their social channels and are really just driving a lot of awareness, donations, and then new email subscribers as well. So, they're capitalizing again on that same trend of, quizzes are what people like doing, and the Red Cross is able to create quizzes that are both, mostly for fun, but then also sometimes more practical. And either way, they're still tapping into that appeal, and it's working out super well.
Very cool. So if I'm a social media strategist or a coach or something like that, or a fitness person, and I want to create one of these, what would I be able to expect in terms of return, in terms of building my list? Are there some averages there? I mean, obviously it depends on your list or what your social media reach is to begin with, I guess, but what are you seeing from some of your clients who are in the smaller businesses?
Yeah, so on average, what we're seeing is that 50%, so 1 out of 2 people that start taking your quiz will end up opting into your list if you have the list building feature turned on. So that's just, a massive number, and that scales up and down. If you're on the smaller end and you send 100 people, you should expect about 50 new subscribers. Wow. If you're on the larger end and you're sending 10,000 people, you can expect 5,000. So that's a number that works really well, especially in terms of running paid advertisements and things like that. If you can count on half the people opting in, then you're able to really invest in that strategy. So those are kind of the across the board numbers that we are seeing.
That's really positive. Wow. A 50% opt-in is huge. That's fantastic. Yeah. So how are people using these with ads? What are the strategies with that? Are they using them with mostly Facebook ads or other types of ads that?
Yeah, so Facebook is definitely the biggest one. Obviously that's the number one social network overall. So, it's got just the most reach in general. But there are other channels. We've had quizzes that have done really well on Twitter. It's not as common. I'd say, it's kind of the breakdown in terms of like there's a number 1, a number 2, and a number 3. So it's Facebook is probably 70%. Twitter is about 20%, and then Pinterest is another 10%. And that kind of makes up on average what we see in terms of like total shares and all that kind of stuff. So that is really where you'll end up promoting these. And then Instagram I would include in Facebook because they have the same advertising platform now. Right. So it's kind of a add-on, even though that one's huge now. So those are really the 3 channels with which you can promote it in a more paid acquisition method.
And I don't know why, but I don't think I've seen too many quizzes in my ads actually. So is the actual ad asking you to discover something about yourself, or?
Yeah, so really the way that you'll structure the ad is to emulate exactly what the quiz looks like. So you can actually just use the same cover photo, the exact title of the quiz, the same description that you have, and it's going to have that same appeal, right? So that's one advantage of running these, is that it makes it really easy to set up ads, because it's like, oh well, I can just create an ad that looks exactly like what I just built. Or if you're using a template, you can just copy the template. So you really just run them as a quiz, and then obviously it's an ad, so it's got the sponsored post thing on it. But that really doesn't matter too much. Like, people still love taking the quizzes, so it works out super well.
Cool. That sounds really easy. Actually, sounds easier than coming up with an ad.
Right.
To me,
right.
Anyway.
Yeah.
So the other thing that I mentioned as we were just before we went on was I was just talking about this. Just everywhere I look right now, it's bots, and I definitely am following people who are maybe a little more advanced in that area. So I'm getting in my own kind of Facebook Messenger app, I'm getting these little questions, and it's kind of like a quiz. It's like, do you want to know about this or do you want to know about that? So how do you see that integrating with what you're doing? Are you going to have something that does integrate with bots in some way, or are you seeing that kind of as your competition, or?
I mean, I think, things end up evolving slower than you think they will. Quizzes really made a resurgence like 3 or 4 years ago in the general market. So in terms of like, a lot of publishers started using quizzes, 4 years ago. And now, like this year, 2017, we're actually seeing a lot of brands jump on board and start using them for their own marketing. So we try to stay ahead of the curve in terms of what strategies are being used in, like the cutting edge folks, and then make sure that we have that available when the average brands, not the average brands, but just the average brand in terms of, how quickly they adopt technology is ready to use those tools. So the future for us is really about continuing to build out products where conversations are held more and more naturally between brand and consumer. And right now it's in a scripted quiz, but we are continuing to modify the way that our quizzes work to accommodate more intelligent branching, more user input, more things like that. And then, eventually you'll be able to actually have conversations within quizzes. So actual typed, and then, in the future it'll be verbal and, even video communication with, what's essentially a quiz. But at that point, it's going to be like a conversation. And what's going to end up eventually happening is that quizzes are being used to replace, basically a customer service, right? So in the old days, you'd walk into a coffee shop and have a conversation with somebody about your preferences, and they'd recommend some beans for you. Now you're able to do that with a quiz. It's not exactly the same, but as we continue to grow and the technology improves and more user inputs are available, it will come full circle to where you're able to basically have that same interaction that you used to be able to with the person behind the counter, but you're doing all of that through a quiz. So you're able to, talk to it, you're able to type in, you're able to answer questions, all that kind of stuff. And it's going to feel very similar to what we used to be able to do in brick and mortar stores. But you're doing all of that online through a website, and there's not an actual person on the other end. It's all programmed in.
Wow. Interesting. So it's different than the chat, the chat mechanism that you're seeing right now, where stores are asking, "Can I help you? What do you want?" Yeah. Which more personal.
Yeah. And it's like those things are just, they're not great. Honestly, it's like it's not prompting you in the right way. What can I help you with is a very vague question, whereas which of these things do you prefer is a much more directed question. But as technology improves, you're going to be able to predict which things people are already interested in, and then give them options, and then talk through those options. And the whole point of it is just to be really helpful. It's to actually provide assistance that's useful, and not just say, "Oh, can I help with anything?" when obviously your only goal is selling something. It kind of goes a different route, where it's like, let me give you all this information that's personal to you and actually interests you based on your preferences. And, based on what you're telling me, I'm giving you, more data, more options, things that would fit your style, all that kind of stuff.
Right. Well, that sounds great. So what I'm noticing when I'm looking at your page is it seems like a lot of these quizzes are also, instead of just asking a question or a sentence, it's like choose like your favorite this or that, and it's a lot of pictures, and it's like a checkbox. Is that the style of most of the quizzes that you have to choose from, or they're not text heavy, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that all comes from analytics that we run. We found that that's the best format for not only keeping people engaged, but also ending up getting them to opt in and then purchase afterwards. So we have data on all of that, and the imagery helps.
Sure.
We're able to process images in our brains much faster than text. So when you're presented with a question and then the answers are just images, you're able to quickly distinguish which one fits you based on just looking at it instead of reading something. So that is a big thing that we've found more recently that is making a huge difference. And we're going to continue building on that and making everything very, very visual all the time.
Mm-hmm. And that makes sense too, because more and more is on mobile, and it just seems like it'd be easy to just tap and choose.
Exactly.
You're waiting, you're on the bus, you're whatever. It's like, I'll just take this quick little quiz.
Right.
Easy,
Yeah.
A little bit fun, so
exactly.
That makes sense. That's great. Well, so if somebody's really interested in this, they want to build their list, they want to grow their reach, they want to get more leads, close leads. What's the best way to get started?
Yeah, so the best way to get started if you're ready to just jump into it is just to go to tryinteract.com. We do have a free version where you can play around with all this stuff and kind of see how it fits you before, jumping into anything. And then if you're looking to just kind of hear more about it and look into the science behind everything and how all of this actually comes together, then definitely check out our blog. It's tryinteract.com/blog. And we've got a lot of really in-depth stuff that digs into the meat of what's happening here. So if you're just interested or curious, that's definitely the place to go. But if you want to, get something up and running and try it out, then just head to the main site at tryinteract.com.
Okay, so they can try it out. Are they actually able to set up a quiz, or do you need to join to do the actual quiz? You can see how it looks, but can you run it or no?
Yeah, no, you're actually able to set up an entire quiz, run it, all that stuff. The only restriction on the free plan is that you're not able to collect any emails or customer data from the people who are taking those quizzes. So if you want to collect data, you've got to upgrade. But you can set everything up before you do that. So you can kind of see how it's all going to look before making any sort of commitment.
Cool. That's awesome. And the prices are really reasonable. Do you want to say what the prices are?
Yeah. So for most of our small, medium-sized businesses, it's either $29 a month or it drops down to $17 a month if you pay annually. So it's just about $200 a year. So very, very cheap in terms of, even looking at this compared to other marketing tools, it's quite reasonable. So it's really designed to deliver a lot more value than you end up spending. And on that plan, you can connect everything up to your email list, collect new subscribers, recommend products, all that kind of good stuff as well.
Awesome. It sounds great. I'm excited. I'm going to definitely jump in and try it myself. It sounds great. Okay, so it's tryinteract.com and tryinteract.com/blog if you want to read a little bit more about it. And today I've been talking to Josh Hanem. And thank you so much, Josh. This has been an eye-opener, and I think it's such an exciting tool to do so many different things. I love that it's so flexible. It's awesome. Yeah,
definitely. Thank you. Yeah, I really enjoyed that.
And congrats on all your success. You got some big names under your belt. That's amazing.
Thank you.
All right. Great. Well, thanks a lot, Josh, and you have a great day.
All right, you too.
Thanks.
Like what you heard? Well, we're just getting started. Subscribe to the podcast, then rate, review, and share. Steph will read reviews on the podcast, and she'll choose a lucky winner each month. The prize? An Amazon gift card to say thanks for listening and sharing. So head to iTunes to leave a review before you forget. Need some help with social strategy or video marketing? Reach out to Steph at StephaniRoberts.com. That's Stephanie with an I, no E. Or call 617-657-4441. Join Steph on Twitter at StephGetsSocial.